Hey moms, it's me, Queenie, and you are about to enjoy the Empowering Girl Mom Show. We're about to get started, so please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with your friends so that more moms know that we are here as a resource to support all of us in up-leveling motherhood. I look forward to joining you in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey moms, it's me, Queenie, and you are about to enjoy the Empowering Girl Mom Show. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Empowering Girl Mom Show. I'm your host, Queenie Brown, and I'm excited about today's conversation. But before we get started, I want to remind you that this is an opportunity for us to grow together. We are locking arms together as a community, and we are taking in the information that the experts are offering us with regards to motherhood, womanhood, and beyond. And we are applying what we're learning into our lives every day. And then by the end of this journey, at the end of Mother's Month, this experience will produce tangible results. And that's our plan. So make sure you have your water. I have my water.
Yeah.
Make sure you have your notebook and your pen. Make sure that it writes. And get ready because we are about to talk about the sugar dilemma and the impact on our children and how we can change it. So today I want to invite our guest, Miss Luisa Morrone. She is a type 2 diabetes warrior, and she is here to give us insight and wisdom around what we're putting on the plate, ladies. All right. Welcome, Luisa. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm delighted. I am so delighted. I have a daughter myself. So this is so, and a son as well. And it's just so important to me that we get across the message to mothers out there. It's not a struggle. It actually becomes easy once we are understanding of the impact that sugar has on not only our children, but on us. Right.
Right. It's funny. I think early on when I first had my kids, I became the sugar Nazi. I became the mom that says, no, you're not going to eat a bunch of cake. No, you're not going to eat a lot of candy. No, you're not going to get a lot of cookies. My girls were excited. Oh, we got a cookie because I give them a cookie. I never
Right.
gave my kids candy. I never, no sodas. I rarely gave them juice even just because of the sugar content. And because I withheld the sugar so much, when they did get sugar, oh my gosh, they would go bananas.
Yeah.
And I could see like a marked change within 15 or 20 minutes. And I remember starting to bribe them even. I'd say, okay, if I give this to you, promise me you're not going to turn into a sugar monster. And then I
Yeah.
promise. And as soon as they eat it, and then it's like,
Right.
how in the world did it get to this point? I know that when I was a kid, we used to eat sugar. I would eat loads of candy,
Right. Yeah.
but I don't remember having a reaction the way that the kids of this day react. And so
Right.
I'm glad that we're having this conversation today because I don't think parents really realize the impact of what it's doing, not only to their
Mhm.
bodies, their energy level,
Yeah.
but their brain. So I
Yeah.
want to
Oh,
talk about that. Let's just open the
all
conversation and you
right.
can jump in wherever you want.
Well, you know what it is. There's a number of things I can address that. Number one, the foods we eat now are much different than the foods that were eaten 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, right? They're highly processed now, more and more. And it's because we're a society that wants instant gratification and quick fixes. And I too, I had a son in hockey, I had a daughter in dance. What did I do? Did I have time to make home cooked meals all the time? No. I would stop at a drive-through. I would buy frozen dinners. And all of these foods are highly processed.
Mm,
And it's a misconception that sugar is only in sweet things like candy or donuts or muffins, etc. No, there is sugar in most foods. Other than certain foods like meat. Meat has no sugar in it. But when we talk about sugar, we need to actually include the word carbohydrate. For
mhm.
example, pasta is not sweet, but it has sugar. It has carbohydrates in it. A potato is not sweet. But the thing is that we are eating highly processed foods, things that are coming in a package, things that have chemicals in them, to make them last longer on shelves. So when I was a young mother with young children that were always busy, I wasn't buying fresh food. It was easier to just grab something that was already pre-made,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
back in the day when you and I were growing up, we had moms that probably, I don't know about you, but my mom cooked every day for me.
Every day.
She was an at-home mom.
Mm-hmm.
She did not work outside the home. My dad did. It was a traditional dad went out to work, mom cooked. So I
Mm-hmm.
was getting fresh vegetables. I was getting freshly cooked meals. That's not the case now. Would you agree, Queenie?
Absolutely, absolutely. I
Right.
remember growing
Yeah.
up, my mother, oh, I used to love coming home from school every day and being able to smell the house. Oh my God, what
Yes.
is she fixing? You know,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and back then there was no microwave. We couldn't eat quickly. You had to warm up the oven and then you put it in there for
Yeah.
45 minutes. And
Yeah.
if you're
You're
hungry, you
waiting
just
and waiting.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
I do remember the onset of fast foods, and fast foods
Yeah.
was a luxury. Once a month, maybe you got to go to a
Oh,
burger
yeah.
place,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a whole
You know,
different
I saw a commercial just recently of a family. It was McDonald's from the 50s, and the family's dressed up like they're going to church.
right.
And it's a commercial about, after church, come to a McDonald's and have a meal together as a family.
Wow.
Like you see the difference? Like it was a
Yes,
novelty to go out, wasn't it? It was a
absolutely.
novel.
It
They
was a
dressed up as
treat.
though it was a treat. But now, find me a family that doesn't do it like every day, every other
Right,
day,
right.
right? So we've moved away from home cooked meals, fresh vegetables. I mean, some of my clients, they've never actually eaten fresh vegetables. It's been open a can of peas, corn, and carrots, and a can of potatoes, and a side of frozen meatloaf, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So you can see how society has now veered towards instant, quick, highly processed food that is full of carbohydrates, just full of it.
Mm-hmm.
So our meals are no longer what we used to eat, you and I. And
Right.
we didn't, your parents and mine our moms were cooking for us back home. My mom came from Italy. They were going out and they were growing the foods that she was cooking.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm.
So do you see how society used to be? You ate what was in your backyard.
Right.
Then it became you had a stay-at-home mom, but dad went to work.
Yeah.
Now they're both working, they got no time.
Right.
Quick and easy meals.
Yeah.
And when you go eat out at restaurants, what do they fill you up with? Bread,
Garbage.
garlic bread,
Oh, that's
uh,
true.
potato starters, potato skins. It's all carbs, right? They know that it's going to fill you up and they're
Mhm.
cheap for the restaurants, right? It's a cheap source of food,
It is, but girl, it's
right?
so good.
Yes, I know. I know. I love garlic bread. But so we've talked about how society has changed.
Yes.
And so, one of the things I came on to do is to demonstrate how if you aren't eating properly or healthy,
Mm-hmm.
how can you be that example for your daughter,
Yes. Yes.
right? You have to be the example. And I was not the example, Queenie. If I
Right.
can just tell people my story quickly, I got to the point where I weighed over 320 pounds. After 8 years of being warned that I was going to become a diabetic. And we're going to talk about statistics, by the way, about how much of the population and children. But I was
Okay.
being warned for 8 years that I was going to be a diabetic. Do you think I did anything about it? No,
Mm.
we live in denial, right?
Right.
My
Right.
doctor, I would go in every year and she'd go, Louisa, please, you need to lose weight. Even
Mm.
20 pounds will make a difference. Oh, I swear to God, doc, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Yes, yes, yes. And I'd walk out the door and walk right into Krispy Kreme,
Wow.
right? Because I was in denial and
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't want to change,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it got to the point where I would promise her that I'd lose 20 pounds, and then the next year when I walked in, she'd say, "Louisa, somehow you've gained 30 pounds.
Mm.
You said you walked away last year saying you were going to lose. You've actually gained." And I was like, "I don't know, I
Mm.
don't know what I'm doing wrong. I did the diet you gave me, and she knows I'm lying, and I know I'm lying."
Right. She
I'm
knows
sure
and
your
I know.
listeners have done this. It's this little dance we do with our doctor. Swear to God, doc, I don't even eat. uh, but somehow we gained 30 pounds, right? Or 10
Right.
or 20. So, what and everyone listening, don't wait for your aha moment. Don't
Mm,
wait for that. Don't wait for a drastic negative health scare. Don't. Talking
mhm,
from experience, because
mhm,
I started having hip problems. I started walking with a cane. And then
mm,
I was told by my doctor that if you don't lose weight, you are not. Number one, I was not a candidate for the surgery I needed. I needed a
mhm.
hip replacement. No,
Oh,
sorry. Uh, yeah, hip replacement. And unfortunately, they couldn't replace it because I was overweight, and you're not going to recuperate. You see, you got to be up walking. And at 320 pounds, by the way, each pound you weigh is times three of pressure on that joint. So
mm.
imagine I weighed 320 pounds. That's 960 pounds of pressure on my joints.
Oh my gosh.
That's the pressure. So even when you weigh 200 pounds times three,
Yeah,
that's
that's
600 pounds of
600
pressure,
pounds. Oh my
right?
goodness.
So that's almost 1,000 pounds of pressure I would have put on that joint had they replaced it at the time. So my doctor kept saying, you're going to end up in a wheelchair. You're already limping along with a cane. And so the aha moment was when I limped in with the cane, was told that I gained weight again, was not a candidate for the surgery. And then she said, and by the way, all those warnings about becoming a diabetic, well, now you are one, dear.
Oh,
So I'm putting you on meds. And I was like, oh shit. And I actually looked at her and said, how did that happen?
mm.
And I know she wanted to,
Right. What do you mean?
Queenie, have you done that? It's like, what?
All right. I don't understand.
Yeah. So I know that my doctor probably want to, slap me upside the head and
Right.
knock some. So I walked away depressed. And here's where that aha moment took place. Right? I went home. I was like, oh boy. And I looked at the prescription that I had filled, and I had to
Mm,
start taking the meds. And I just didn't want to. And that's because there's a backstory to this. My father was a diabetic. My late father was a diabetic.
mm,
My late father-in-law was a diabetic. And I lived with a man. My husband was a diabetic.
mm,
I should have known better. I
mm.
was surrounded. And by the way, both our fathers passed away from complications of diabetes, which are
Wow.
severe. Both of them passed away from um, the complications of this terrible disease. Both of them were on kidney dialysis at end of life. Both of them had to go into the hospital 3 times a week and be hooked up to a kidney machine,
Oh my God.
right? And the problem with diabetes, by the way, and eating sugar is the fact that it's a painless disease. There's no pain.
Mm.
Do you know why I didn't do anything for 8 years? I felt no pain. When I ate an extra large pizza by myself or a container of Chinese rice, there was no pain. There was only pleasure.
I was going to say there's
Right?
also the addiction factor because
Oh,
sugar is highly addictive. And I know as a marketer,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
the intention is to generate revenue. That's where the money is the
yeah,
motivator, right? So if I put
yeah.
sugar in your food and you keep wanting it because the sugar triggers something in your brain, then I'm going
Yeah.
to make more money. So let me just sprinkle sugar in everything, right?
And can I tell you that when we all went running towards low fat diets, remember,
Yep.
whenever you went to the doctor, they'd say you got to cut out the fat, you got to watch your calories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, my plan and my way of eating bumps up the calories, bumps up the fat, and we don't even count calories. We
Wow.
don't. I don't even care.
Mm,
What we do is eliminate high carb foods and highly processed foods, and that
mm.
a ton of weight falls off. But
Wow.
having said that, you're right about the addiction, and I was completely addicted to
Mm-hmm.
carbohydrates. My
Mm,
favorite foods were pizza, pasta, rice, bread, Krispy Kreme donuts, cakes, cookies, everything under the sun
mm,
that contained sugar.
mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to talk about was the low fat diets of the 90s, the 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
where we were guided by our physicians to that's
Mm-hmm.
how you're supposed to lose weight. When you were buying products, they would say no sugar added, or there were butter replacements that said low fat butter or low
Mm-hmm.
fat
Mm,
butter alternative. How
mm-hmm.
can fat be low fat?
They
But I
trust
bought,
us to not
but,
think about it though, right?
but I fell for. I was like, oh my god, low fat butter spread.
Right. Right.
There's no low fat butter spread.
Mm.
It's fat.
Yeah. Wow.
Or the reason it said no sugar added is because when you turn that muffin around and you look to see how many grams of carbs are in it, the sweetener was prunes and prune juice.
Mm.
That's why they don't need to add sugar. It already got a lot of sugar from the prunes. You
Wow.
see? So I
Yeah.
would be like, oh, no sugar added? Oh, wow. And I would buy it.
Mm.
And then, of course, when you're on a low fat, low caloric, low quantity diet, how long were you able to stick to those, Queenie?
You're starving yourself. And so now
I'm, s-
you're gonna binge at some point.
you get a little bit of weight loss, yeah,
Mhm,
right? You're a little
mhm,
bit encouraged, but then
mhm.
the hunger starts.
Mm.
You know, I remember when I joined one program and all my points were consumed by like 1 o'clock in the afternoon,
Mm.
right? I was like, oh, now what do I do? Starve the whole day.
Wow.
And that's when binge. And then, of course, you're starving. You've got
Mhm,
your hungry children in front of you. You're cooking
mhm.
for them, but you can't eat it. Oh, heck, forget that.
Right,
Right?
right,
So it's
right.
very, very difficult because the industry, the food industry, makes it
Mhm,
very difficult because the sugar in. Have you ever heard of the rat in a wheel, the hamster running around
mhm,
in the
mhm.
wheel? So
Absolutely.
you know, Queenie, you have two daughters, correct?
Yes.
And I have two children, a daughter and a son. But you give them foods with high amounts of sugar, and they're
Mhm.
bouncing off the walls, right? And they got
Right,
all that energy, and then it's that
right.
they slump.
Yeah.
Because your body, and even for us, going to work and then you have your lunch and then and then it's the afternoon and you're slumping. What do? You run out, you get a coffee with some sugar and cream maybe and a muffin or some
Mhm.
low fat muffin, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's stripped of fat, but it's still got sugar in it. Okay.
Right.
So that's a pick me up till you get home and then you still got to start cooking dinner, right?
Right, right.
Here's what happens to your body, Queenie. That sugar in your coffee and the low fat muffin, what it's doing is it gives you that spike of energy, yes.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
our bodies, cars need gas. Our gas is food,
Right.
but I treat my body like a Jaguar, and I give it high efficiency fuel. So here's what's happening when you eat a high carb meal. Your body only needs a small amount of that sugar to run.
Hmm.
Do you know where that extra sugar goes?
No.
To your tummy, to your
Mm.
behind, to your
Mm.
thighs, to your
Mm.
neck.
Mm.
It also causes inflammation,
Mm.
and it causes inflammation in your brain. As a matter of fact, I'm sure that most of your listeners are aware of type 1 diabetes, which is, I'll just explain real quick. Type 1 diabetes was considered juvenile diabetes. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
heard it.
I remember.
And it's changed. It's not just in children, actually. You can get type 1 at any time of your life. And it is the body's inability to create any insulin whatsoever. So our bodies run efficiently. Our bodies need insulin in order to process that sugar that you ate and turn it into energy.
Mhm.
For type 1s, they don't have the ability to turn it into energy. They can't make that insulin somehow. There's a defect in their body. So they have to inject themselves every time they sit down to have a meal. That's the insulin they need. That's type 1. Type 2, I call it the disease of eating terrible for your whole life.
Mm.
And so for some people, it's eating a high carb, highly processed diet through your whole life. And at some point, your body keeps trying to make the insulin. You're eating bananas and you're eating bread and you're eating rice and you're eating pizza. And it's like, oh my God, she's eating more carbs than I can handle. So your body just says at one point, I cannot make the amount of insulin you need. I just can't. I can't do it anymore. I need more insulin in this body. I can't. It cannot process because you are eating more gasoline than your body needs.
Mm.
And your body cannot turn that gasoline into the energy your body needs. So this is very simplistic. I'm not doing science. I want people to I'm dumbing it down so that people understand, right? So type
Um,
1 is no insulin.
mhm.
Type 2 is the inability of your body to create enough insulin, or it has lost the ability to use the insulin it has.
Wow.
And that's why some of us, I mean, I know I have friends who eat terribly and aren't diabetics. Darn it.
Right.
Somehow,
Right.
somehow their body is creating enough insulin for them to process all the junk food. And they're
Right.
thin and they're, and it doesn't mean just because you're thin doesn't mean you're healthy, right?
Right. Right.
Unfortunately, for 40% of us right now, 40% of North Americans are dealing with pre-diabetes, meaning the warnings my doctor was giving me, right?
Right.
Louisa, you're diabetic. Louisa, you're diabetic. So 40% of North Americans are either pre-diabetic, being warned they're pre-diabetic, doing nothing about it, or are diabetic and don't know it because they're too scared to go to the doctor,
Mm.
or diabetic on medications. 40%, Queenie.
So what about our kids?
Yeah,
What are the numbers of our kids?
I'm going to quote you some statistics about our children. So uh, we're with children. We're going to talk first about the obesity problem, which leads to diabetes.
Okay.
Okay, so in North America, about 20% of 17 to 20%
Wow.
of children are obese. That's in
Wow.
North America. But let me give you another
Let's
terrible.
pause there. Hold on a second.
Oh yeah,
Excuse me.
bless
I want to
you.
pause there because
Yes.
that deserves us to take a breath.
Oh yes.
20% of our children are obese.
Yes.
Think about that's the foundation that they're starting life with.
Oh
And
yes.
and it only gets worse as they get older.
May
And
I tell you that the percentage is higher for 12 to 19-year-olds?
wow,
That's the average, what I gave you. But you guess what it is for 12 to 19?
what is it?
22.7%.
Wow.
That's almost, 22.2%. So that's 22% of 12 to 19-year-olds.
Are obese. We're not saying overweight. We're saying
We're
they
talking,
are on the other side.
we're
And
talking, yeah,
right, when we think about our responsibility as
yeah,
moms,
right.
we're the ones that make the plates.
That's right.
We're the ones that buy the groceries. We're the
Yeah,
ones that either
yeah,
choose to or choose not to cook the food.
yep,
We're the buck stops with us. And
absolutely.
while that's a sobering reality, it's empowering to know that we have the power to change it, but we
Yep,
have to get some wisdom around what choices are available to us. I'm going to be honest with you, thinking about food and
yep,
preparing dinner every single day for these people that
eh,
keep wanting to eat every day. It is a mind-boggling thing to just
yeah,
have to think about, what am I gonna feed them for breakfast? What am I gonna feed them for lunch? And Lord have mercy, what are we doing for dinner? That
right.
it has become a stressor for me. I don't know if there's anybody else that this is a stressor for
Oh,
you,
it was a
but it
stressor
is
for
a common.
me. It was a
Right.
stressor for me. But guess what? Since I solved my own problem,
Mhm.
which is I lost, by the way, so I lost 150 pounds. Yeah. Easy peasy,
Go, girl.
I
That
lost
that
150
deserves a
pounds.
celebration, girl. That's big.
It is, it is. I lost 150 pounds. I reversed type 2 diabetes and I got off meds. So I take
Wow.
no meds whatsoever. So, but now because I know the right foods to eat, see, we have too broad a menu. It's like every food is available. But when
Mhm.
you know that you should be actually eating just these foods, it makes it easy to be on menu plan. It does.
Mhm.
Plus, in my program, there's menu plans that you can
Mm.
purchase, whether or not you go into my program or not. I actually have menu plans that you can follow.
Mhm.
I make it really easy. I've had clients that don't cook for themselves. I have hacks on how to go to a grocery store and not cook and still buy healthy, uh, organic. It doesn't have to be organic, but as
Mhm.
long as it's natural food, it can be pre-cooked. But I have all these hacks because I went through the whole thing myself,
Mm.
right? But getting back to the statistics, I want to blow your mind now too, even further.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to first put out there that obesity, when your children are obese, and this is for adults as well, it, the kind of conditions that come out of that are high blood pressure, high
Mhm.
cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, breathing problems, and joint problems. You've got
Mhm.
kids with joint problems. And I'm going to throw another statistics out to your listeners. When it comes to Hispanic children, it's even higher. Remember that 22% for 12 to 19-year-olds? Hispanic children, 26% are obese.
Wow.
And Black children, 25%.
Wow.
So
Wow.
Black and Hispanics are actually even higher than the national average.
Wow. That is sobering.
It is
It's
sobering.
sobering. It's sobering because I think about
Yeah.
those recipes that we passed down that
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember growing up, I never
Yeah.
wanted to learn how to cook. I just didn't have time to do that. I
Right.
wanted to
Right.
eat and I wanted someone to make the food I want to eat, but
Yeah.
I didn't have time to do it. But
Yeah.
once I grew up and moved out, I realized there were some things that I wanted to taste. So I need this recipe and I
Yeah.
need that recipe. And then as I
Yeah.
started building those recipes and I'm going and buying the things and I'm looking at what's in them and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is why we struggle as a community because the
Right.
food that we have made turned into masterpieces.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's destroying us from the inside.
uh, Queenie, I can't. These are sobering statistics, and
Yeah.
it's 40% of us are pre-diabetic, heading towards diabetes. Our children are a quarter of our children. Let's say a quarter of our children are obese.
Hmm.
Right? These statistics are a result of the fact that what we talked earlier about, right?
Hmm.
About our eating habits have changed drastically. We've got to go back to the way we ate,
Hmm.
natural foods, healthy foods.
Yes.
It's really, but the problem is our society, again, it's that fast paced, oh, just here, grab it, here, have this, it's unwrap it. Like, and by the way, Queenie, I'm of European descent, so I go back to Italy quite often. I'm Italian Canadian. And I still have cousins and aunties that live there. So, do you know that in Europe, many of the foods we eat here in North America are banned?
I
They don't
do.
exist. They don't
Isn't that
exist.
crazy?
Pop Tarts, which were a staple of my breakfast because they were easy, toast them, eat them,
Mine too.
right? They're illegal. They're not available in Europe.
Really?
No. Cereal with milk? Nobody in Europe eats cereal with milk. No,
Really?
no. Oh, salad dressings. I had a couple of cousins come last summer and I took them to the grocery store just to show them the abundance we have. And they were absolutely stunned by the rows of shelves of salad dressing. Because in Italy, it's just oil and dressing. Actually, in most of Europe, it's just oil and vinegar that you pour over your salad. They
Really?
don't, bottled salad dressing does not exist in Europe.
Wow.
They were stunned when they saw the shelves of all of the different poppy seed, Russian dressing, French dressing. And they were just like, what is this? And I explained, this is what people pour onto their salad. They were like, ugh. And that is a high, by the way, I'm going to add to whatever you're giving to folks, my freebie. I will add the freebie that I have, the ten foods with hidden sugars.
I love that.
Right? Please remind me to send you that. I will give that away. But so you can see, Queenie, how, especially in North America, how we're getting into trouble, how
Girl.
our children are getting into trouble, right? Because of the fast paced and easy access. I can go into the history of why we eat cereal and milk.
Mm.
In the 50s, many of the cereal manufacturers decided to announce that this was the best way to start your day. Eat sugar and pour more
Mm.
sugar on top.
Yeah,
Does
we've
that
got
make
something.
sense when I
Yeah.
describe it to you that way?
No, it's here's the best way to start your day. Give us some money. Give
Right.
us more
So give
money.
us money and we'll give you sugar.
Right, right. And you'll love it
Right.
so much you'll keep coming back.
You know what my breakfast is?
What is your breakfast?
Leftover chicken or roast beef.
But that's what we used to do back in the day before there were
Right.
refrigerators. They woke up the next day and ate whatever was left from the night before.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Until the food manufacturers convinced us, no, no, no. You have to buy something that comes out of a box. It's got preservatives in it.
Mm.
And then, you're going to take it home. You're going to open the package and woo, you pour a little bit of milk and hey, there's your breakfast. Or maybe you
Wow.
want to pop these Pop Tarts into a toaster even quicker.
Oh
Grab and
my gosh.
go, right? So do you see how the example of growing your food and going out in the garden and grabbing it. Then it evolved into mom stayed home and cooked for us.
Yeah.
And now us busy moms, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just grab what we're buying things. When I go shopping, Queenie, in a grocery store, all I do is I shop on the outside,
Yes.
around the outside.
Yes.
I buy fresh meat, fresh fish, fresh cheese, dairy, cream, butter, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit.
Mm.
I do not
This,
go and I do not buy anything from a box, a can, or a bag.
wow.
So
That's
you
saying a
see,
lot. That's saying a
right?
lot. And a few years ago during COVID, I grew a garden. And
Oh,
I was
that's
so
wonderful.
proud of myself. Let me just run down the list of things
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
grew.
Go
I grew
ahead.
bell peppers and
Yeah.
cucumbers and tomatoes and squash and zucchini and butternut
Oh,
squash and spinach and
wow.
watermelons and um, onions and rosemary and lavender and
Oh my
chamomile.
God.
Yeah, I was serious. COVID was like
Queenie, these
there
are
was.
all foods that are wonderful to eat.
Let me tell you. I did not realize how much the flavor
Yeah,
changes when you have pesticides and chemicals on your
yeah.
vegetables. My bell peppers were so good. My
Yeah.
tomatoes, the
Oh,
cucumbers, so
tomatoes.
juicy.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. Food
yes,
tasted different when it
yes,
came out of my garden.
yes.
And it didn't take a lot. I literally put it in containers.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
we can do this, moms. You can go and
Yeah,
get a bell pepper
right.
plant. Figure out what the things are that you like to eat. I
Yeah.
hated that I used to have to go to the grocery store and get a bell
Uh,
pepper or an onion all the time because I would,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
need to get them. I could just run outside, grab one off the
Yeah,
tree, off the plant, and
yes,
they taste divine. And you know what's been on them. You don't have to
yes,
scrub all
yes.
the white stuff off,
No,
So it
yeah.
makes a difference. So my question
That's
then,
amazing. Oh, yes, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, I was proud of myself, girl. I'm like,
Kudos to you. See, you went back to your roots. You went back to
yes.
growing your food, right?
Yes, and it matters. It makes a difference, and I learned so much, and I was able to teach my children so much, and it helped them to understand the process of growth and development. It helped them to learn how important it is to work towards the food that you're eating
Wonderful.
and
Yes,
value it. So, I want to invite you moms that are watching to consider what
yes,
are the vegetables that you love to eat and that you eat often, that you find yourself running to the store to get
yeah,
all the time. Get a
yeah,
couple of containers, put them on the
yeah,
patio outside,
yeah.
and grow the food. See how quick and easy it is. It's
Yes.
not that hard. It's really amazing.
Well,
And you,
tomatoes do really well in containers. You can
yeah,
neglect tomato. All you got to do is just water them, but man, they grow quite well in containers. They're an easy plant to grow.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Most of the things that I grew everything
Yeah,
in containers. All even the
nice.
watermelons.
Oh, yeah,
I grew
yeah. But
everything.
and so if that's too much work, that's okay. I
Yeah,
get
it
it.
is work though.
But it's more about what I was talking about earlier. When I go shopping, I
Hmm.
am buying natural whole foods.
I love it.
I am not going down the boxed aisles. I am not buying salad dressing. I am
Hmm.
not buying cookies. By the way, I also make my own desserts. I make them,
Oh,
right? And
nice.
they're easy. Most of them have 4 ingredients, 4 to 5 ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the fact that we actually think, oh, cooking is going to take forever. Oh, it's too much work. It's going to take too long. No, no, because I work with people who are just as busy as everybody else listening to
Hmm.
to this
Hmm.
interview. And so I thought about that and I thought, how do I make it easy for my clients to stick to this?
Yeah.
How do I make it easy for people to cook at home? Right?
Hmm.
So my program is developed from a woman who was a busy mom, driving her kids all over the place. Because my husband worked late. It was me that was the chauffeur. And
Hmm.
so I have that experience of I don't want to spend the whole time in the kitchen. I don't want to, and so one of my recipes that I just posted on Facebook last week was a lemon mousse that has only 2 grams of sugar per cup instead of 30 grams of sugar. Do you see? 4 ingredients: cream cheese, lemon juice, natural sweetener, and something else, right? All I did was blend it up, pour it into some little fancy plastic cups, and put them in the refrigerator. And that was our dessert that night,
That's a great
right?
idea.
Yes.
I have a lemon
So,
tree. I'm going to try that.
oh yeah, I'll send you the recipe.
I'm going to try that. Maybe we can try that together, moms. That can be something we
Yes.
work on over the week, over the month.
Exactly. And so again, you're talking to someone, Queenie, who is as busy as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I developed hacks in how do I prepare a meal in 30 minutes or 20 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
How do I, and I, like I said earlier, I have clients who don't cook for themselves. I taught them how to still shop the grocery store with prepared foods that they can eat, and it takes them like 5 to 10 minutes to prepare. But you have to be willing to understand the impact of sugar. And I hope that we demonstrated that today in the interview. The horrors of childhood obesity. The one thing we didn't cover was type 3 diabetes, just to close out here. And,
There's
it,
a
and
type
it's
3?
there is now, the medical professionals are now calling Alzheimer's and dementia type 3.
Oh,
And
wow.
that should tell you something about the effects of sugar on the brain. Now we're talking about our seniors, of which some of us are heading towards becoming seniors, right? Our
Wow.
children are being impacted by sugar. We are impacted by eating too many foods that have sugar in our adulthood. And what's happening is the brain is being affected by the amount of sugar. So not only does does the body have an inability to process or use the insulin in its body, but sugar is now affecting her.
Mm.
Type 3. And
Wow.
it dates back to, there's a study done on women with dementia. Most of them, you know what they had in common, Queenie?
What?
Low fat diets.
Wow.
Low fat diets stripped our body of the fat it needs, because guess what the brain is made of? The brain is 65% fat. When you eat good fats like butter and olive oil and coconut oil, your brain is happy.
Mm.
You're giving it what it needs. But when you're giving it the carbohydrates and the sugar in processed foods is affecting our brain.
Wow.
So I didn't want to sound like I was a pessimistic, depressing person, because man, am I living my life.
No, no, I'm glad you shared these things because,
Yeah.
all of it is wisdom, right? As
Yes.
moms, we need to understand what we're
Yeah.
putting on the plate and putting in our
Yeah.
children, because
That's
we
right.
have the capacity and the ability to impact and make a change. Instead
Well,
of giving my
yeah.
daughters these muffins that I give
Yeah.
them, I get to make a different choice for their breakfast. And even
Well,
if it looks
muffins,
like
by
it's,
the way, is just a cake in a little container,
I know,
right?
but they call
If you're
it
giving your daughter,
brand. They say it's brand. It's got raisins
it's
in
a
it.
brand cake. No, look, I'm going to tell you something, Queenie.
Oh God.
For anybody listening, right? My daughter has turned to me many a time and said, Mom, I know the odds are stacked against me. I had two grandpas, a dad, and a mom who are diabetic. She's now in her 20s, early 20s.
Hmm.
But she said, You have shown me the way. You have set the example. And she does make better choices. She is a fantastic cook because she watched me turn from buying processed and prepared foods into cooking for her and my husband and my son. So
Mm,
she has said to me, "You've set the example. I know what I'm going to do if ever I even get a whiff that my doctor tells me I'm pre-diabetic."
mm,
But she already eats quite healthy as it is.
hmm.
She does. And she has said, "It's because of you, Mom."
Wow.
Right?
And that's what we want. We want our kids to be empowered to take care of themselves. We don't want to give them the habits
Yeah.
that are going to
Yeah.
be destructive for them.
Yeah.
And we've got to model it. And so I have to take
Yeah.
notes and
Yeah.
make some different choices.
Right.
And then we get to show them that they can make different choices to impact themselves. And then just think
Yeah.
about how much better our bodies will feel, how much better we will function. Um, I talk to teachers regularly, and I'm noticing that even teachers complain that the amount of sugar that the kids are
Yeah.
ingesting impacts their ability to focus in the classroom.
Oh, how can you phone us when you're like, and then
Right.
all of a sudden you want to take a nap? Like
Right. Right.
you
Yeah.
go from a high to a low. You go from a
Yes.
high to a low, right?
Mm,
Whereas if you're eating the way I do and the way I teach, which is eliminating, I don't eliminate all carbs. I
mm-hmm,
eliminate the higher processed foods, right?
mm,
And so there's a difference. I'm still eating carbohydrates, but
mm-hmm,
let's put it this way, Queenie. Rather than a loaded baked potato, which has 33 grams of sugar,
Mm-hmm.
I might have a loaded head of cauliflower baked with butter and heavy cream and sour cream and chopped chives and bacon sprinkled on top. You know that a head of cauliflower only has 10 grams of carbs?
Mm.
So you can either have the size of this is a potato, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or a whole head of cauliflower smothered in all that same goodness
Mm.
with much less
Wow.
sugar. You see?
Wow. Wow.
So
Wow.
that's what I teach, and if there's any takeaways, what I'm going to tell your listeners to do is to really pay attention to how many times they're reaching for something in the grocery store that's in a box, can, or bag.
Mm.
And you know what I say? My clients hear my voice in their head all the time. Put it down. Put
Oh
it
my
down.
gosh.
My clients have texted me saying I was going to buy something and then I heard your voice say, put it down. Right?
Wow. Put it down.
Put it down and go towards the fresh sections.
Wow.
And you will see an incredible difference because what you said earlier about the energy and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I am so full of energy because I am in a constant, my energy is constantly like this. Well, at a high level. Like I
Mm-hmm.
get up in the morning, I have high energy, high
Mm.
energy. I'm like that the entire day with no spikes, no up, down, and sideways.
Wow.
Because my brain is fed with natural good foods that are
Mm-hmm.
healthy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not having those like up, down, right?
Mm-hmm.
At work, I used to almost slump over in my desk by 2, 3 o'clock.
Mm. And
And
we
I would
also
have to
have
run out, right? Sorry, go ahead.
right, right. We also have to throw into the mix the whole concept of the emotional piece of it. We don't
Mhm.
realize that what we're dealing with emotionally draws us to grab a hold to different foods, and we don't
Yeah.
necessarily know how or why we're being drawn to it, but we got to have that thing, you know.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that, Queenie, is that when we're food is also for us, it can be a soother. We use it
Mm-hmm.
as a soother. A baby uses a soother.
Mm-hmm.
We eat not when we're hungry, but because we're depressed or we had a fight with our loved one or something happened at work and it didn't go right, or we
Mm-hmm.
didn't get that promotion we wanted. What do? We go home, we go scrounging around and we find that ice cream container and we eat the whole thing, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because what's happening is the dopamine effect, right? It
Yeah.
gives us that, but then the problem doesn't go away. And
Right.
then after we finish that tub of ice cream and that dopamine hit is gone, then you go look for donuts or leftover cake that you from the birthday party that you had on the weekend.
Or
You
that
see,
thing on
but
the
it's
bottom of
not
your purse that really satisfies.
right. So
Right.
it may satisfy you for that period of time when
Right.
you're eating, but the problem doesn't go away just because you ate half a slab of chocolate cake. It doesn't, which I did, by the way.
Right.
So yeah, we run to food for and so sometimes what I'll say to my clients is, um, okay, you fell, that's fine. It happens. There was a trigger. But were you hungry when you were eating? No.
Mm,
Then why did you eat? And by the way, breakfast means breaking fast. It doesn't mean eat at 7 o'clock in the morning.
mhm.
That was another thing that the food manufacturers decided to tell us was you have to eat as soon as you get up because your body's hungry and you should have Rice Krispie with milk and whatever.
Mm.
No, I eat when I'm hungry, Queen. And if I'm not hungry at 9 o'clock, then I don't eat.
Imagine that.
Whoa, right?
Yeah.
Because didn't you ever hear your kids going, but I'm not hungry. Oh,
Right.
you
Eat
have to
it
go to school. You
anyway.
have to eat here, have some waffles with whipped cream on top and some straws. And they're like, I'm not hungry. Oh, okay. And then they eat, right? And then you create the hunger.
Right. Wow.
I never pushed my food like when they were young and they would say I'm not hungry. I'd be like, okay, no problem. The kid will come to me if he's hungry. And
Mm.
everybody around me thought I was a horrible mom.
Mm.
But my child would come back and say, I'm hungry now, mom. Okay. I never forced them to eat just because it was dinner. If
Wow.
you're not hungry, Queenie, why are you eating? I want to ask your listener that.
Mm.
Huh? Something
That's a
to
good question.
ponder.
Yeah.
Because society dictates you have to eat breakfast at 8. You have to eat lunch at 12. You have to eat dinner at 6, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Why? Why? Do you think our hunter-gatherers ancestors just, they were out hunting buffalo or whatever as soon as they killed an animal, they hauled it back and they said, let's eat. Did they look at the clock and say, oh no, we gotta wait till 12 o'clock?
Mm.
Think about that.
It makes me think about the fact that it's a money situation yet again. If I
Yeah,
train you to do this, then you're gonna do this and you're gonna keep paying me and others
right.
to
So do you
wow.
see how a lot of the norms,
It's a program,
once
girl.
yes, once I liberated myself, I at work, I couldn't wait till it was 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I would sit there and not even work because I'd be like, oh, I want to eat so bad. Make it 12 o'clock, right?
Mm,
Because I
mm,
was so conditioned that I had to eat at 12, right?
right.
Not anymore. I now eat when I'm hungry.
Wow. That
And if
right
I
there
ain't
will
hungry,
save a whole lot of people.
oh yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's all the conditioning. It's the food
Yes.
manufacturers. It's all of the social norms. We must
Mm,
gather together and eat at 5.
mm-hmm.
And the kids would be, I'm not hungry. I'd be like, okay, that I did right. I would be like, okay, no problem. And I was
Mm-hmm.
called a horrible mom because I didn't insist.
Yeah.
But think back to every time your children said, but mommy, I'm not hungry.
Mm,
They were listening to their internal, but we
wow.
forced them. So imagine why some of the obesity is happening with children, right? No, you got to eat. It's dinner. You got to eat. And then the kid goes overboard because then he or she is eating something that is high carb and it's
Yeah.
creating that hunger in them.
Yeah.
See?
Wow.
Mic
I'm so
drop.
glad we
Mic
right. That
drop.
was a mic drop moment, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad we
Yeah.
talked about this because
Yes.
that's really a big piece of this whole conversation that we
Yeah.
haven't touched on yet. A lot
Yes.
of the stuff that we do is a part of the program, right? We're
Mm-hmm.
being
Mm-hmm.
trained
Mm.
that this is what we do, this is how we
Yep.
do it, and as moms, we fall in line because it's the program. But we get
Mm-hmm.
to be wise and we get to think and really review and evaluate why we're doing some of the things that we're doing and decide whether or not it works for our family culture
Well, how
because it may
many
not.
how many times have you seen the statement, breakfast is the most important meal of the day?
Oh, yeah.
It sets you up to be eating carbs the entire day. You get up in the morning, you ingest sugar. So what does your body want in a couple hours?
Sugar. It's addicted. In any form you can give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm,
Sugar is the most
and you want
addictive
it
substance.
quick. Right. I want it quick, so what's fast that we can take in?
So you
Ooh.
see how the food industry, the takeout, going and getting a bagel and a coffee, a donut and a coffee, a muffin and a coffee, right?
Mm.
All set up to get us to buy all this stuff and make us hungry throughout the entire day.
And
I
then we
haven't
feed
had
it to our
breakfast in
children.
ages. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so then we need to think through some of the
I can
solutions
see
here.
you're like
Right.
fascinated now. Like you're like, oh my goodness,
Because I'm
right?
seeing the program. I'm like, what in the
Uh-huh.
world? I'm just following, we're just doing what we do and everybody
Yeah.
else around us is doing what we do. And then if you get out of line, someone smacks you back,
Yeah.
you get yeah, what in the
Do you
world?
know how liberated I am to know that I can eat when I want to, when I actually feel I have reset I now can I know when I'm hungry. We
Mm.
don't give our bodies time to tell us it's hungry
Oh
because
my
all we're doing
goodness.
is right
And then what
now
we're
I
putting in is creating
yeah,
that
that
cycle. So
that's
so the
the
answer
hamster on
then,
the wheel, right?
right.
So
So eating
Queenie,
fresh, grow your own if you can,
yeah,
challenge yourself. It'll bless you in ways you can't imagine,
yeah,
even if you
yeah,
just
yeah.
try one plant. Um,
Right. Yes.
search, uh, go through the grocery store around the
Groceries,
outside
yeah, go around the outside. Yes, yes. The
and
fresh sections of the grocery store. Yeah.
eliminate as many carbs as you can, but
Yeah.
add more fat, natural
Yes.
fats.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's the
Well,
premise of how I lost 150 pounds.
wow.
How my daughter's gorgeous, by the way. She is just never been overweight. Never. Because
Wow.
again, mommy never pushed them to eat. Thank God for that. Right?
Mm.
But Queenie, it's been a pleasure. I know that we could keep talking, by the way. I
Right,
know.
right,
I
right.
think we've, you know, and I'd be happy to come on again at any other time at another summit. But people can reach out to me if they want to know more. But when I discovered this, it made so much sense.
Absolutely. So then what would you have a free gift that we talked about you
I
wanted to
do, I
offer?
do. Yes, I have remind me what my free gift is. I'm so, like, I'm
Top
so into
10 things, top 10 healthy snacks you can offer your
yeah,
daughter.
yes, that's right. The top 10 healthy snacks. I also said that I was going to give you something, so I'm gonna have to go back and see what it is I'm gonna give
10
you.
foods with hidden sugar.
The 10 foods with hidden sugar. Those two will open your eyes.
Wonderful.
Will open
Awesome.
yours and your listeners' eyes to just all of the robotic things we go through of the day and the way the sugar addiction continues to fuel our desire for even more sugar.
That's what addiction does.
And I'm
That's what it
liberated. I am no longer, well, I
um,
still sometimes I'm still an addict, but and I do sometimes fall and it's ugly when I fall.
mhm.
Oh yeah.
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 Well, you're
But
not alone. We all do.
oh
But
yeah.
I want to say
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
this conversation. I'm sure that it opened the eyes of some moms
Yeah.
and moms we can do this. You know,
Thank you.
it's not where we cannot overcome this. We can take dominion over this whole food thing
Yes.
and God will give us wisdom and lead us down the path that we should go and open up our eyes to the things. And then as we're in the grocery store, if you hear Luisa's voice say, put that down,
That
you
down.
know, you'll be able to thank the Empowering Girl Mom Show for it.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Luisa, for joining us today. I greatly appreciate this conversation. It has changed the way that I see a lot of things. And so we get to make some adjustments. Moms, make sure you are taking notes on the bottom of your notes. Write down the action items that you are going to implement that's going to help make a change for you over this next few weeks and months. And
Yeah,
we just want to say thank you for watching.
yeah.
Let's see, is there anything else? Um, for those of you,
Queenie, I'm sure they'll know how to get in touch with me through you, so not a problem.
actually, do you have a website you want to share?
My name, louisamorrone.com.
There you go. Thank-
Um, Also, I'm on Facebook. Listen, I'm out there. I'm out there. You just punch in my name and all kinds of things will come up. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I'm everywhere. Everywhere.
Awesome. I'm so
Spreading
glad we'll
this
be able to
message.
find you.
Spreading the message.
I love it. I love it. So thank you so much for watching again. We appreciate you. And we'll see you guys next time on the Empowering Girl Mom Show. Take good care. Hey, family, it's me, Queenie. Thank you so much for watching today. Boy, that was inspiring and traumatizing at the same time, right? What am I going to do about my potato skins now? But I'm so grateful that you all were able to watch the show today. Thank you so much, Louisa, for bringing the wisdom and to bringing us into some clarity about what we're putting on our children's plates and just helping us to up level as moms. I know that the whole meal planning thing traumatizes me every day. And there's so many moms that I speak to that we're all having the same chatter in our minds like, what in the world? But to know what it is that we have as options helps us, right? When we recognize that there are other options out there and we've got to just be more discerning about what we put on their plates. That's the important message here. So I'm glad that you were able to join us. Please make sure you go to www.empoweringgirlmoms.com. And if you are a mom that is ready to uplevel your motherhood, this whole entire journey has really been about us fortifying ourselves. All of these experts have just been pouring into us in every area. We've been talking about everything from heart healing to helping your daughter recover her voice to understanding the sugar dilemma to understanding neurodivergence and how it might show up in your own children, how it shows up even in you. There have been so many conversations. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about our hormonal balance and how that plays out in our lives and then also in our daughters' lives. So these conversations have been incredibly rich. And this journey is designed to help us see that it's important that we as moms begin our heart healing journey. We get to heal, moms. We get to be stronger and strengthened and fortified, and we get to operate from a different paradigm, from stepping away from that overwhelm and being just exhausted with motherhood and actually learning how to thrive in it, utilizing the gifts that God put on the inside of us as moms to really be power moms. And so if you're ready to go there and take your momhood and your motherhood experience to another level, I want to invite you to put in the comments, I'm ready, because I have something amazing that I want to share with you. But it's really for ready moms, because this heart healing journey requires you to make deliberate choices to decide to heal your heart. I always say that as moms, we tend to go through life and we're running so fast that when we get traumatized, or when things hurt us, or our feelings get hurt, or someone violates us in any way, we tuck it under the rug. We don't have time to deal with it. And so, because we're tucking things under the rug throughout life, our rug ends up getting bigger and bigger until it takes over the room. And then it begins to bleed into our relationships. It bleeds into our finances. It bleeds into our health. It bleeds into every area of our lives until we say no more. We've got to be the ones to say, the buck stops with me. I'm not going to allow this trauma that came from my mother line to infect the way that I do momming and the way that I do womanhood, and make it be a pattern that I pass down to my daughters. We've got to make some different choices. And so I'm inviting you all to put I'm ready in the comments if you're ready to just have a conversation about it, to see what it might look like to have a different perspective of motherhood, to operate from a different power structure, you know? So I invite you to do that. Let me know if you're ready. And then we're going to, oh, I love it. You're ready. Okay. So I will be talking. Okay. And make sure you guys join us again tomorrow. We're going to be going deeper. And then all next week, it's going to blow your hair back. We have speaker after speaker. There's going to be so much more content. And we've got some live events next week. There's going to be a teachers roundtable. There's a speakers roundtable where all of our speakers are going to be coming back together again, where we can talk honestly about motherhood and womanhood. And then on Friday, we're going to celebrate our testimonies and talk about how far we came as a result of the impact that this Empowering Girl Mom show has had on our lives. So make sure you like this, subscribe to my channels, share this with your mom friends, girlfriends, so that we can all rise together. We are locking arms in this journey, and we are moving and growing and healing as a group together. So thanks again for watching. I'm Queenie Brown. God bless you all, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Take good care. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye-bye.